construction, to some great extent, is largely a broken process. And I don't mean to say that it's broken, because it was never good to begin with, by the way. It was always hard to deal with, hard to get things built, a bit of a struggle. That's why churches have this, this tendency to send in to get their projects done what we call the COGs, the cranky old guys. They send the COGs in to get these projects done, and these fellows would come in who had been in the mines for years working on these projects, either as superintendents or somewhere in the construction industry, and they knew the game. They would go in and they would fight for the church the way that I had for my church. And so that's just the way, the nature of the beast. It's the way it is. It's broken, though, and it's not just due to contractors. It's certainly due to architects. It's the chronic problem of budget, which architects have to raise their hands and say they're the primary problem behind the budget busts, is they're not very good at estimating. They tend to be optimists. They tend to think, well, we can get that skylight in there for $5,000. And the contractor says, well, maybe $25,000? No. Well, we can get that done. Architects tend to lie to themselves to achieve what they want. They also sign contracts, by the way, that are percentage-based contracts. Okay? So if the building costs $1 million, the architect takes 6 or 7 or 8% of that. You're building in those contracts a way for an architect to be compensated for inflating your budget. It's a disincentive to save money. So when somebody comes along with a really good idea to save money, you're thinking, well, how much is this going to cost me in my contract? So it's a problem, the way that AIA sets up contracts to protect the architect and not the owner. And bring the consulting engineers right into that same mix. 4% for mechanical, 4% for electrical. It's no wonder we end up with $1,500 light fixtures. It's just the way it goes. So we have these problems. 70% of projects. These numbers are put together by this large organization in Washington, D.C. I've been to that organization as a member of the AIA and visited and talked to them, and they've compiled these statistics. And it's a chronic problem. And everybody just throws up their hand and says, well, that's just the way it is. That's why pastors lose their jobs over these building projects. It's tough to make your way through a building project. I met a pastor yesterday who has been the pastor for 34 years. He's built a project every 5 years. And I'm looking at him like, how have you survived this? How did that happen? He's a builder pastor. He gets it. He knows how to do them. He learned probably through the school of hard knocks how to get it done. But not many pastors survive these projects because they fall victim to the arguing that goes on between the architect and the contractor in these situations. So what do we do? How can we honor the Lord in this process? How can we not go to war? How can we find value? What are some of the things that we can do to bring value to these things? How can we integrate biblical concepts like relationship and stewardship and outreach in the course of these projects and still get them built for under 20, 30% under the process? It is possible to do that, but it's a hybrid process. So I'm going to describe to you a couple of things that happen in our program.